your brand, then Evan White is here. 'Cause Talent Tech PR is sure to take you very far. The HR tech space has a fresh face, and it'll make your brand a star. Spinning straw into gold and taking flight, you'll be soaring through the sky at incredible heights with Talent Tech PR from Evan White.
That song always gets me.
It's amazing.
It's your first time hearing it, right?
It's not my first time, but I just think after spending last week with Evan White, he really does light up a room.
Well, good morning, Joel.
Good morning, Alan. Good to see you. I don't even think the audience knows who you are, so I think we need to do an intro.
Oh, my goodness. Well, everybody, welcome to the HR Morning Show. Usually I'm Alan in the truck, as Adam likes to say. Special thanks to Alan back in the production truck. So I'm filling in for a little co-host spot here with the wonderful Joel Lalji. And it is really good to see you on camera. I was just saying before we hit record, I was like, I'm not turning my camera off and my mic off. This is strange.
Is it weird? Do you feel powerful?
I do.
In a weird way.
I do. I feel so powerful in like the adrenaline right now is going to make me take a strong nap afterwards.
That's good. That's good. I take naps every day, so now we have that in common.
Well, how was TA week? You were there last week, yeah?
TA week 2026 in sunny San Diego. It was great. The weather was amazing. It was, I think, like 80 degrees at least one of the days. And obviously anyone who's in the East Coast or the Midwest, like where I am, it's freezing, right? Like I went from negative 20 degrees 2-3 weeks ago to be able to be in 80 degrees. That's like 100-degree spread. So that was great. And then, yeah, I feel like obviously I've done lots of conferences over the last 2 years. TA Week continues to be a favorite to go to. I just think the content, along with the scenery and just kind of the location, just vibes really, really well. So it's definitely not like that Vegas, oxygen to your brain every 10 seconds and slot machines everywhere. It's just way more relaxed. And I think that just fosters kind of better conversations. We had on one of the nights, our friends at Pin and Perfect Tire put together a really cool event with a big dinosaur and some of the best tacos I've ever had.
Dinosaur tacos.
Yeah, it was, and man, the tortillas were just amazing. The meat was awesome as well, but it was a really good time. I think there was probably like 80 to 100 people there.
Jeez. Well, what was the biggest takeaway that you see? Like, this is starting the year. This TA week last week was the first week of February, so everyone's like settled into January a little bit, getting the flow of things. So, like, are things shifting at all from your perspective?
I mean, definitely. There's we're in an unusual time. We've been in an unusual time for the last 2 to 3 years with a lot of layoffs, and I think I read in January we actually had the most layoffs since 2009.
Wow.
So that doesn't paint a good picture. And then hiring, I think only 5,000 jobs were added. Again, I look at all those numbers with a grain of salt because they always review them and kind of redact them at some point. But with that being said, most of the TA leaders I'm talking to, they're hiring. They're facing challenges with hiring. A lot of applications coming through. There's a lot more candidate fraud. Did I say that right? Fraud.
Fraud.
Fraud. It's candidate fraud. So there's a lot of fake candidates coming through the system. So that was definitely an issue. Obviously, AI was a talking point. But I think we're at a point right now where most people have implemented AI in some way if they're going to do it. I still think there's a lot up in the air with HR and TA when it comes to regulations. There's 2 big lawsuits going on in our space, one with Workday that's continuing to go on, and then one with, Eightfold. That's another big lawsuit.
They were helping candidates like cheat with AI basically during interviews.
I'm honest. I don't know if I don't know what the whole thing. I honestly haven't taken that big of a dive into it, but I know that it usually is to do with candidate selection, and is AI ultimately influencing hiring decisions. And so I know it's kind of mixed with TA teams. Like there are some TA teams that are leaning heavily into AI for selection, and then
Mhm.
I'd say the bulk of TA teams are um, pretty hesitant to have AI rank people and kind of in that selection process. And so because of that, there was just so much more of a focus on um, like that human connection, and then just knowing that, like, like when it comes to recruitment or sales, right? Because I think a lot of us can relate to both of those. There's so much noise, and so actually being human, whether you're DMing, whether you're emailing people, that's becoming a huge edge. So there was a lot of talk. I was in one really, really great talk where they were really talking about how, just being human with your messages, being human with the outreach that you do is actually becoming a competitive advantage.
So should I become a recruiter and just start like starting every email with like OMFG, bro? We totally think you're like the greatest fit.
I don't know that. I mean, what I found works really well is being creative and actually being personal, right? Because I think there's tools right now that can scale personalization, that doesn't even make any sense. But
I
um,
don't even know what that means.
yeah, it's like you can pull somebody's information, their LinkedIn profile, you can pull their content from around the internet, you could pull all the information you have, and an AI can put together a customized, personalized message that kind of highlights those things, right? So you have that ability. So, in theory, that would read kind of personalized. But if everybody's doing that and everybody's used to it, which they are now, really the only way to be personalized is to personalize. So, um,
It
so, actually,
kind of seems obvious.
yeah, actually taking the time. And I found that extremely helpful with recruiting salespeople. Like using video messages, using voice notes is highly underutilized, and it takes more time, but the quality outreach then increases, and then the response rate increases. So I think there's a lot more emphasis now on being, really tactical and strategic with the reach out, with who you're reaching out to. So there's a lot of focus on that. And then overall, I think people are just optimistic about 2026. And, this isn't just at the conference, but in a lot of conversations I've had recently. Um, a lot of sales hiring going on, and also a lot of recruiters getting hired as well.
Hmm.
A lot more than I've seen over the last few years. So I think people are optimistic about 2026, which is good. Um, and then I think with the vendors, talking to vendors, I think the vendors are struggling more than they have, perhaps a few years ago. And I think a lot of that is um, there's a lot of consolidation within the industry happening.
You mean like SaaS vendors?
SaaS vendors, yeah, and
Yeah.
and I think people are able to build things, so internal teams can build things a lot easier. I think really, if you're not an end-to-end platform nowadays, you struggle. If you're just solving one problem, we're seeing a lot of vendors now kind of backtracking and becoming end-to-end solutions. And then at the end of the day, I'm obviously a big proponent of this. Branding is what's going to win the day in our space. So if you've got a good brand, you've got a good story, and obviously you got a good product, you're going to win. But it's highly competitive, and I think I've noticed this over the last few years. It's easier to build tools, so a lot more people are building tools, so it's just becoming more competitive. But that's a vendor problem. And I can help you out with getting awareness on your product if you want to pay me. But I think from like an overall TA perspective, it was great. And then obviously just being able to connect with people face to face is always that's what makes conferences special. And I think TA Week does do a good job of that. I know on the second day we got out fairly early in the afternoon, and I think that actually allowed people to go and relax, unwind together, really connect. And I think that's a crucial part of any conference moving forward. Is you want to create that environment where people can genuinely connect.
That's really cool. I wasn't able to make it out. I had my own commitments here in single degree digit East Coast Brooklyn. My gosh, but I
You
was
missed out. It was 8 degrees then where you were, and it was 80 where we were. So you missed out.
yes, I definitely missed out on the in person and everything. I mean, we have talked on the show, the HR Morning Show. It feels like since I've been part of the production team for coming up on a year now, I think everything has been AI this and AI that, and for good reason, right? It's been changing everything, and in the last 12 months, especially the tool set that has just been pushed onto the market, it has been incredible, and it's changing the way everybody works.
Yeah.
And I mean, my contribution, I think, along the lines here is from a tech perspective. I've got a very deep technical background, and it's like say what you want. Like I'm putting the environmental impact aside. I'm putting all of that thing off to the side. But in terms of what's available to everyone, literally everyone right now,
Yeah.
everyone with an internet connection. It's like somebody handing you a TI-82, a TI-83 calculator, and
Yeah.
all you care to ever learn to do on it is basic math.
Right.
It is so powerful. It can graph. It can do everything. I programmed a blackjack game on my TI-82 in algebra in high school for extra credit. Like it could do so much. Learn to prompt AI. That's my thing. Learn to prompt it. Learn to use it. Ask it what you don't know.
Right.
I tell it to be critical. I tell it to suggest things to me that I haven't thought of. I always tell it never to be a yes man, a yes it. And but I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially where we are right now. Like you said, at the forefront of everybody can do this now. Internally, everyone can develop their own things. We're going to see so much AI slop that is rolled out to enterprise because people don't know security best practices. People don't know end-to-end encryption best practices, all this other thing. So if you can just learn basic architecture and then learn how to prompt the crap out of AI in the proper way, you're going to be so much farther ahead than everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the common thing that I hear from most people who have kind of played around and are experimenting. It's like you said, I think it's that curiosity, trying new things is huge. But from an enterprise level, I mean, one of the companies I'm working with right now, they do a lot with workflows and automation, and they have agentic AI built into their platform. But surprisingly, when they're working with really large clients, there's not actually that much agentic AI going on. It's mostly still automation. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest mistake you can make right now is kind of either burying your head in the sand or thinking, hey, I'm just going to ignore this. It's like now is the time to learn. And I think if you're solo in particular, like myself, I mean, you do have you do have a huge advantage. Like I built my website in 10 minutes, which would have
Mm-hmm.
taken me a long, long time. Now, one of my friends who's a web designer was like, "It's crap," and I was like, "Okay, thanks, buddy," but um, it's not crap compared to what I would have had to pay for only a few years ago. And so I think being able to explore and I built tools myself that haven't necessarily worked. So obviously, like I'm not saying you can be an expert developer with the tools that are out there, but you can definitely build prototypes and you can really just go with your ideas, which I think is exciting as well. And I think people who are exploring, that's where you want to be in this phase. But I think for most of these TA teams, a lot of them have implemented if they're going to implement, and I think now we're in that phase of okay, what works, what doesn't, and and then obviously there's just new problems that pop up, and again, that candidate fraud issue
Mm-hmm.
is huge. Like I think that's going to be one of the biggest issues over the next few months that we're all kind of talking about, like how do we solve that. And it kind of leads into other questions like how do we curb how many applicants we're getting. I mean, I'm working on some positions right now where there's 300 to 400 applicants in less than 24 hours. So what do I do in that scenario? Do I shut the job down? Do I continue to take applicants? Do I review every single one of those resumes? Like, how do we work in this new environment? And so I think 2026, that's what we're going to be kind of figuring out. Um, and then I think the other conversation too, which came out, which our friends Brian Fink and Michael Goldberg, they did a great conversation on like saying no as a recruiter, and I think there's an elevation that's going to happen where I think great recruiters, great, even like in HR, like really across every function, those that really understand the businesses they're working in and transition from being like order takers and just reactive. I think the people who can be proactive, that can leverage AI to bring data and insights to whoever they're working with, that's going to be huge. And I think, particularly in recruitment, I just did a video about this. I think the ability to be able to push back to the business, say no, um, and come in as a true consultant, that's going to separate people who are just kind of order takers and kind of doing the bare minimum. And so that's exciting. I want to see that for our space. I want to see more recruiters learning how to really understand the people in the business and the business as a whole to be able to make better hires and really help the businesses they're working in.
That's very cool. Well, speaking of tools that help your life better, how you like that transition?
That's good. Smooth. I like
Smooth.
that.
All right. So, of course, we're talking about calendarpa.com, which is sponsoring today's show. PA for personal assistant. It is a calendar aggregation tool that guarantees no double bookings. It's made for the solopreneur, for the gig worker, for the teacher, for the coach. It's got a generous free tier, and it's going places. Got a lot of AI integration coming. It's brand new, so it's still rolling out features every day. So head over to calendarpa.com and sign on up. There are some limited time deals now that are going to go away once it's fully launched. So yeah, check that out. And now that I'm running production and doing this at the same time, I got to press buttons and speak. All right, here we go. Headlines.
We're back. All right. The spread of peanut butter pay raises. Alan, what's the scoop here? What's the peanut butter scoop here? What have you deduced from your technical background, your non-HR background?
Imagine all your employees laying out on a piece of bread and you just spread a raise equally across all of them. Doesn't matter how much each of them have outperformed the other, they all get the same spread of a raise.
It's perfect. Nothing like having an amazing year, absolutely crushing your numbers, sitting down with your manager and getting that 0.5% raise that doesn't even start to address inflation, right?
Not even 3%, 0.5. Like 3% is cost of living, right? Isn't that in the US, I think?
I wish I knew. I feel like 50% would be cost of living, but yeah.
New York especially, yes.
Yeah. I think, this is one. I haven't been in corporate for the last 3 years, so I haven't had to deal with this. Instead, I try and give myself a healthy raise, and that never works out. So mine's not even a raise, but yeah, I think this idea of just like you said, giving everybody like the bare minimum. To me, right now, I think you can get away with it because everyone knows it's a challenging job market. But I think, if you've got top performers, I don't think this is enough. I think you really have to, you have to take into account the work that people are doing and give healthy raises to the top performers. And, I hate to say it, if you're not performing, I really don't think you deserve the same raise as someone who is performing, right? Shouldn't be, there should be a clear difference there.
I mean, it's rewarding bad behavior for the underperformers and ignoring, not rewarding the top performers. So they're going to give less output because they're realizing it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I mean, a lot of the hiring I do is with sales. So with sales, I think it's a little bit different where like, you're going to get commission, right, based on like your performance. So you're going to make more money if you're performing better at sales. But across the board with other functions, I don't understand how you can still motivate people to the best work without really taking that into account. So yeah, I think that's I think people expect a raise every year. I don't think the last couple of years everybody has been paying out any kind of raises, but Yeah, I think this approach is pretty terrible. I'd love to know from people on YouTube and LinkedIn when we get in there, like how your company's approaching this, if there's any kind of innovative way. But it seems like I think we would all agree that this is not the way to incentivize people.
Yeah, and I think it will depend a lot on what the company does and how much of each different type of industry worker they have. Like frontline workers, um, you know, yeah, I guess if you're looking at frontline workers versus developers versus doctors versus any, like a wide range of different job functions, it's not going to make sense for a lot of job functions. While sometimes it might, because if you do have tens of thousands of frontline workers who are working factories or whatever the case is, like, is it possible to evaluate each of them independently, or is it better just to be like, all right, here you go, and then the ones that still do outperform, they still get noticed, but everybody else, like, is this gonna reduce turnover with the people, like the middle ground, right, the forgotten child?
Yeah, I mean, I think even with the with the kind of the frontline workers, I mean, maybe then you need to break down what are your performance metrics. And I mean, I know people who work in warehouses that do picking and packing, and they definitely have that percentages they have to hit in terms of the accuracy of the orders. So I
Hmm.
don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. I think maybe it's just too much work for middle management to handle. But at the end of the day, too, like I know with those frontline workers as well, they will leave for 50 cent more an hour somewhere else.
Right.
So to me, if you actually incentivize by performance even in those roles and give people that opportunity to earn more, move up, those types of things, at the end of the day, you are going to get better retention. And especially in, I think of like manufacturing, healthcare, construction, it's hard to find people. So why wouldn't you want to incentivize people who are doing a good job? Because it's going to be hard to find a replacement at the end of the day.
Right. Well, yeah, the cost of turnover is a cost. It's a tangible cost of hiring somebody and training them up again. So if you could give someone a small raise and then over time they become exponentially that much better at staying in the same company, then in theory, you're gonna eventually net positive, I think. And this is where I think a lot of AI can come into play as well, as looking for these proactive metrics, tracking everyone's accuracy, and looking for trends and differences in what you've had versus what you're starting to track now, because now the tool set's there.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good way to leverage AI right there.
There you go.
Love it.
All right. How about we get into our first caller?
All right, who we got calling in?
We got Bryan Chaney. Here we go.
Brian,
Hello,
hey,
good morning.
good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Do you have a good time in San Diego last week?
Yes, a very good time. San Diego was gorgeous. It went from I would say the frozen tundra, but it was more like the dropped snow cone in Dallas uh, to, to the gorgeous weather in San Diego.
I love it. Is it warmed up though in Dallas now? Is it
Yeah,
like
it's
getting
it's
warmer?
it's perfect. It's it's floating between 70 and 50 degrees, so no complaints.
Nice, nice. I love it. Well, I know you had. I think I got off the plane, went to my room for like 20 minutes just to kind of relax, and then the first session I caught was one of your sessions where you had an exciting announcement. So I'd love to catch everybody up with like your announcement and what you're up to, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited. We soft launched People Brand Collective, and so we were excited to share, what brought that about. A lot of you say, "Hey, we're launching a thing," and people go like, "Okay, well, what does
A
that mean?"
community, a
Right?
community.
Like, it's a community. You're like, "Hey, kinda." So understanding that, I've launched communities before.
Yeah.
I've launched them, fed them, nurtured them, grown them, done all those things over time, and I love them. They're great. And there's going to be communities all over the world, regional, role specific, all those kinds of things as far as professional are concerned. But when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I said, let's go bigger. Let's
Yeah.
think about what we really need. And what we need is structure. We need structure. We need rules. We need standards. We need to know what the hell to call ourselves. Little things like that. And when I joke about that, but when you think about the people experience, what I affectionately refer to as people experience storytellers. So those are the people who are talking about way above the funnel what it's like to work somewhere. What's the story? What's the appeal? What's the experience? And then so that's recruitment marketing, right? And you kind of shift to like, okay, well, what defines recruitment marketing? Well, if that's your employer brand, like, okay, well, that's really the reputation of your experience. And it's either aligned with your leadership vision or it's not, right? We like to tell ourselves we're doing something we might not be doing, or we're actually aligned and the experience is aligned. And then the people inside the company need to know what's going on. They need to know, why should we care? Why are we here? What are you doing? How are you supporting us? How are you developing our careers? All those things of engagement and alignment with that vision, depending upon what the company's trying to do. And then you got to communicate that. So it's communicators across that life cycle. So recruitment marketing, employer brand, and internal comms, so that people know, okay, this is the exchange. This is what I'm getting. This is how I can expect the company to show up for me as I'm showing up for the company, and what in return they expect out of me. So all those things, right? Nothing has existed. There are over 190 different job titles for
Wow.
this work. So when I joke and I say we don't even know what to call ourselves because there's no standards. Yeah, there's a couple of job titles that show up as more prevalent, like employer brand manager, or variations of those. You got talent brand, you got recruitment marketing, you got talent marketing, you have internal comp, employee comp, people comps, all the things. And it's a lot. And what that means when nobody knows what the direction is nobody knows what to follow. Nobody knows what to take as standard, as accepted. And most importantly, it's really hard to know what good looks like for the work that's done.
How would you say, like employer brand, recruitment marketing, employer brand experience, like how is that evolving, and how has it evolved over the years? And I guess where are we at this point? Like what are candidates responsive to? What are some of the big shifts that you've seen within the space?
Well, the shifts are, I would say, back when like Glassdoor was the big deal
Yeah.
and people were talking about, oh, it's a glass door, everybody can see inside. No, it's like, it's not even, the door's not even, it's not even a screen door now. Like the stuff is just coming in and out. And being a practitioner in the work, having most recently led internal comms and talent brand, what was inside was external comms, and what was external was internal comms. There's so much crossover that you have to be able to call it out. You have to be able to tell a story. You have to make sure that people are aware, oh, this thing is happening. How do we think about it? What's going on? Oh, there's an issue. Oh, by the way, and I'm going to anonymize this to protect the guilty, but there's things like, oh, yeah, my manager was flipping me off in a Zoom meeting and I screenshot it and then I posted it to
Reddit.
a social network. What does that mean for the culture you're experiencing? All of that, that's like one of like the hot examples of like
Yeah.
how does this show up in a bad way?
Yeah.
But in a good way, it's like, okay, what are the channels that you're using? What are you looking at? What are the things that you're paying attention to? And what is your company actually doing to respond and acknowledge what's going on and say, yep, that's been a problem. We're working on it. Here are the things that we're doing. Or, yeah, it's going to be a problem and it's not changing. Like they own it and they say, this is a function of where we are, either within the industry or within the practice of what we're doing. This is going to be a problem. So great, let's talk about it. How do employees actually deal with it? How do they face the problem? How do they understand what's coming? And it's that transparency that I think is now just table stakes for that experience and knowing what you're going to expect when you walk in the door.
It's huge. I got a question, and this isn't in the kind of the notes here, but I'm curious. One of the trends that I've seen across social media, which is usually my major mode for creating content, um, is this authenticity, right? Being real, and obviously in a day and age where there's a lot of AI noise out there, and I think people
Oh yeah.
generally are like questioning: is this real? Is it fake? Is it deep fake? Um, how do you encourage like that authentic and real storytelling? Um, like how do you encourage that within the business and kind of balance that then with like PR objectives and that that those kind of communications that go out? Like how do you balance that to kind of keep it real and authentic? Um, is that something that you have to coach leaders on? Like how do you kind of work that in the companies you work with?
So I don't know that I would say I've coached leaders on it, like to do anything, but to be aware that there's this really big Venn diagram of here's what the company says we are, and here's
Yeah.
what the people say we are, and there's that overlap, right? And it's that part in the middle that you want to identify. Yep, that's a differentiator. Yep, that's something that is true, and there are examples of it. Yep, we want to elevate that, and not just elevate it as in we want to show it off, but as a storyteller working within the employer brand, talent brand, recruitment marketing space for a long, long time, you look for those and you polish them up and you say, okay, there's a story here. It's real. It's based upon a lived experience. How do we get that story out? How do we tell it? So let's figure out, okay, is that a blog post? Is that a video? Do we want to, how do we want to elevate that story? And we want to then put it in front of the right people. So we go through a whole process of capturing the story. People want to feel safe. They don't, depending upon the organization, they don't know how their story is going to be treated when they share it. So you have to it's this snowball effect. You have to start with this snowball, and you have to like form it, and you have to say this is what you can expect. And it's this thing that rolls and it grows this momentum. And other people go, oh, well, I didn't know how that was going to show up. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to share my story about why I came here, what my experience is like, what my career path has been, what I've learned, or why I stay. Like they don't know how that story is going to be treated. But if you start and you start telling those stories, then they build upon each other, and people go, oh, that's cool. Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, I'll like if that's how so and so showed up in their story, I'm cool with that. And so like it's this social proof aspect that builds upon it and builds upon it. And sooner or later, you end up with leaders within the organization going, hey, you did a video on that team. Why did they get that? Like I want that. Like that, I want to be able to show that off because that actually allows me to tell the story of what it's like to work on my team and my function and my department, which is then a lot closer to it than just the 3-minute culture video that somebody slaps on a career website, right? It's a lot closer to that day-to-day experience.
I love that. I love that. It sounds like building that trust too within that process is huge, and that obviously takes time. What about obviously Alan and I we were discussing AI, and obviously I have the recruitment perspective of that. When it comes to the storytelling, employee brand experience, like how and the people experience, how are you seeing AI used, and how are you thinking about AI when it comes to either creating the content or coming up with ideas? Like where are you seeing AI play a significant role in this in the future?
I think it's a great aggregator. And one of the things that I talked about in my session at TA Week last week is how do you actually map it? You have to set up your ground rules. Okay, what is our source of truth? Our source of truth is these are our values. This is how we show up. This is how we write. This is how we talk. This is our tone. This is the experience that we're creating internally. Great, you can do that. Now let's look at what are the things that people are giving us. Okay, what's in our Glassdoor reviews, our Indeed reviews? What is coming up in our employee surveys? Where are those things? Where are those patterns making themselves known, and cross-referencing with the things that we know we want to differentiate and tell a story? How do we identify that? What themes are showing up? Great, let's dig into those themes. What are the examples for that? So taking your survey results, and I talked about this, taking your employee survey results and actually anonymizing them, aggregating them,
Yeah.
but putting them into an LLM and saying, cross-reference it, elevate themes, do this, and then guiding it, giving it structure to say, hey, how should I be thinking about this as a recruiter? What stories what words should I be using to describe this in a way that highlights certain things? Not so much in the content creation, but in the aggregation, identification of themes, like pointing the humans in the right direction to say, these are the things that are showing up that we should be looking for stories around. Not taking those elements unless you're going to create something that is more graphical, text-based in nature, and go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of these, and I'm going to throw them on my in my recruitment advertising campaign, and I want it to show up with a real quote from somebody, an anonymized real quote, but something that says, this is the experience that I had. But you can actually go that, because they're anonymized, you can say, okay, how do we go looking for more of those stories? How do we take pictures? How do we look for the stories that people are sharing already? So let me if for the lead that I just buried, let me actually bring it back up and say, we should not be creating stories using AI. Even if we know that there's a story like that, I don't think that it's our place. Those things are really, really easy to identify. You got a BS meter, and it goes off the charts when there's some kind of story that shows up that doesn't feel like it aligns with the experience people are having day to day.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we were talking about that earlier too, with even outreach, right, to people. Like there's this hyper personalization that's going on,
Mhm.
but in reality, real personalization is personalization, and I
It's
think people
personal.
exactly. So it's just you can't scale like personalization. I know someone out there is gonna go, no, my tool does a great job, but personalization is actually person to person. It's something real, and I think everybody can feel that and see that in messaging, whether it's advertisement, whether it's
Mhm.
recruitment messaging, whether it's outreach. Now you have over 243,000 followers on LinkedIn, which is amazing. Obviously, a lot of people respect what you have to say. They're reading, they're engaged. I'm curious from your point of view with your newsletter. Um, what's kind of what are people hungry to hear more of, and like what's the topic of the day that you kind of see people responding to and saying, hey, we want more of this? Is there a topic or a few topics that you're seeing emerge in 2026 that people need to be paying attention to?
I think it's, how do we take what AI is giving us and show the mistakes, but
Mm,
also show the things that are practical use cases. Meaning, oh yeah, I can write a prompt. Great. What does that mean? Where do I take it from there? How do I make that feel real? And so it's bridging that gap between, yeah, I can ask ChatGPT or some other LLM to solve a problem for me, but I don't know how to then take that and make it human, take that and bridge it to a conversation. And I think that's the part that, like, people are still like, we're still humans, we're still trying to figure this out. We're still the people who can create conversations, the people who can have real human connections. Those are the people who are using what's in their head, and they're voicing it, they're prompting their way. I think as Alan affectionately put it a few minutes ago, they're prompting the crap out of AI,
yeah.
but they're using their own judgment to drive that. And I think that there's a skill set that it's been talked about quite a bit when you think about who's successfully using AI. It's the people who are good
Yeah,
managers, the
totally.
people who understand how to communicate expectations, and then the people who know how to describe the path to get there in ways that are important. And if you can do that, you can get really good stuff out of your LLM, provided you have a source of truth in there. And I think that's the difference between just going to ChatGPT or wherever and throwing something in, and you get the median, you get the middle of the road. But
Yeah.
if you have rules and you have source of truth documentation and you have guidelines and you've got examples of what good looks like, and you know how to write a prompt and you're a good manager, all those things are going to make the output way better. Chris Penn, Penn, is a guy who was at the forefront of social media back in 2006. He's been at the forefront of AI for the last couple years. AI makes good intentions really, really good, and AI makes bad behavior really, really bad. And I agree with that. And so we end up with this big chasm in the middle of people who don't know what they're doing.
It's really funny. I recently I had my furnace go down, broke down, um, and I jumped on a chat GPT and I started asking it questions,
Mhm.
and it gave me totally wrong information because it was talking. It was basically like it was giving me like information on like an electric furnace
Mm.
versus a gas powered, and it wasn't until I took a photo of the actual furnace and then started to prompt it that it gave me the right information. And I think that points to something which should have been obvious from the start. Subject matter expertise
Mhm.
is huge. And it's like even in engineering, right? Like if you're building something, you still have to know what the end product is in order to code the right way. Like you still have to know what's the starting point and what's the ending point.
Yeah.
Um, otherwise it's like you could just have a kid that could just, jump on knowing nothing and just enter everything into Chat GPT. So I love the subject matter expertise and the experience that people have still counts for so much. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, like you said, put those guardrails in, if you don't ultimately know whether it's a bunch of BS it's giving you, then you end up in a world of trouble. Which I think for a lot of people that's good to hear because you just think, hey, my 20 years of experience is still highly valuable, and in fact, it can make me even better if I'm using the tool versus someone that has no experience. Um,
I will also say it can make you even more valuable
yes, yeah,
if you know how to take a custom GPT and add in that knowledge, build out the tool and make it available for others who don't know what they don't know.
I love that. Yeah, and that is I know in one of the sessions at a conference recently, people were kind of showing some of their custom GPTs and definitely just resources that you can share and can help others out, which I love. Um, Talking about next, like what's next for you conference wise, I guess what's next for you and like what can people expect and for those that are going to be attending where you're going to be at, like what's next for you?
Yeah, so the calendar's filling up fast. Excited to launch People Brand Collective to bring it to people at different events.
Love that.
So we're going to be at a few different events over the next 6 months. Big one is going to be Recruitment Innovation Summit in Atlanta in May.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna be a good
yeah.
one.
So we're going to have a workshop there specifically around AI and how it's being used, not theoretical but practical. How it's being used, how it's being rolled out, what results leaders are getting. Who, like broken record, are being told to do more with less.
Yes, I love it. So Recruitment Innovation Summit, that's gonna be in Atlanta in early May, right? It's like
That's right. That's
May.
right. And I'm a geek. I'm a Star Wars geek. So I love the fact that it's going to be on May the 4th.
Yes.
So
Uh,
that'll be on May the 4th in Atlanta.
that's
That
some good
workshop
branding right there.
is coming up. And then, so there's going to be SHRM Talent in April.
Okay.
There's going to be,
Is that in Dallas too?
it is,
Okay,
it's in my,
cool.
my backyard now. I've been in Dallas for a couple of years. So when I saw it coming up and I was like, yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Brian, where can people connect with you if they're not already connected with you? What's the best place for people to find your insights?
So for me, LinkedIn is the best place to find it. So obviously, my name, Bryan Chaney. But yeah, I'm on all the places as Bryan Chaney. People can find that, but also peoplebrandcollective.org if they want to find out more about the organization.
Awesome. Well, peoplebrandcollective.org. Go check it out. And Brian, thank you so much for your time, your insights. And it was great to see you face to face as well. And looking forward to catching up in at Lancer as well in May. I'll be out there as well. So looking forward to hear all those insights, and we will chat soon.
Likewise, enjoyed it.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks,
Joel.
Bryan. Bye.
Hey, Harper, welcome to the HR Morning Show. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm great. So you are a Baylor University alumnus based in Savannah, Georgia. You hold the unique title of glue guy for the Savannah Bananas. First off, what are the Savannah Bananas for those who don't know? Because I think this is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Savannah Bananas and Banana Ball as a whole started back in 2016 as a collegiate summer baseball team. So players from all around the country would come and play here in the summer to get more experience, coming into college and pro draft seasons. And eventually we started to wonder if it could be something more. What else were fans wanting from baseball that they weren't quite getting? And thus was born the idea of Banana Ball, where we've introduced some new rules and some other entertainment aspects to the game to kind of liven things up a little bit. And that was a massive hit. And we started taking that on the road in 2022 with our One City World Tour, and it has grown like a weed since then. And so right now we're in the process of ramping up for our 2026 World Tour, in which we will play in 75 different stadiums, 189 total games all across the U.S. So some really, really exciting stuff.
But you're selling out 40, 50, 60, 70,000 seat stadiums. This isn't like tiny stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this year, last year was kind of our bridge into playing in some football stadiums. We played in 4 different football stadiums around the country. And this year we'll play our 2 biggest for this upcoming season are Kyle Field at Texas A&M and Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee. So 2 venues over 100,000, which is a really exciting milestone for us there.
Wow, that's incredible. So how do you change the rules though? Because I know like if there's no home runs, if an audience member catches the ball, it's an out, or some weird things like. What are the big rule changes, and then why did you even start with the rule changes in the first place?
Yeah, so some of the most notable ones, if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. So, one of our big things around here is that we were fans first. We wanted the fans to be involved with the game in any way they could. So fans are always trying to catch foul balls. So what if it meant something for the game? So if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. Another big one is that we don't have walks around here. Walking is slow. It's boring. We want to just pace up the game a little bit. So instead of a walk, we have a ball 4 sprint. So when ball 4 is thrown, the batter can start running. They can take as many bases as they can until every defender has touched the ball. At that point, they can be tagged out. So there's those. We score the game a little bit differently. Every inning is kind of like its own game. So if my team scores 4 runs in an inning and then your team comes up in the bottom half and scores 5, you win that inning and you get 1 point, and those points are tallied up over the course of the game, which helps create a little more competition. Whereas like you could blow an inning wide open and kind of win the game in 1 inning. That doesn't, it's not really allowed to happen in Banana Ball. So it's been a lot of fun seeing those rules kind of take hold and people really gravitating to certain ones and stuff like that. It's been really exciting to see over the last couple of years.
That's funny. Yeah. As we're recording this, the Winter Olympics are happening, and in the first few days now, I've been like getting straight into curling, and I like it's not what you just described about how they do it, not innings, they're ends, and then it's the total points. I don't know. It seems a little bit similar to curling, but that's just my recency bias with watching the Olympics. But are you or were you a traditional baseball fan or not? Because it sounds like I could guess either way. He's like, oh, this is boring, this stuff. Let's liven it up a little bit. Or you could have just been playing your whole life and you're like, I'm gonna flourish it a little bit.
Yeah, so I was not really a traditional baseball fan. I had worked in college summer baseball before coming here, and that was the first time I had been like, oh, watching baseball can be fun when you're invested, but I was just never, baseball was too slow for me for a long time. When I was little and I was playing t-ball, I was drawing in the dirt when I was supposed to be playing shortstop and stuff like that. So probably just not really my calling. But then coming here, it's been fun to see the ways that we have changed that game to create, something brand new that is also a little bit more accessible and a lot more entertaining for a lot of people.
Yeah. So then on game day, tell me what the glue guy does. Or I guess leading up to the game day, what is the glue guy? What do you do?
Yeah. So glue guy is kind of a self-given title. My actual title here is I'm one of our world tour staffing coordinators. But what I like to think about with the glue guy thing is that a lot of sports teams, especially, have your quote glue guy, right? So somebody that he's maybe not your superstar, he's not getting all the accolades and the awards and the big stats, but you can't win the games without him, right? And if he's not there, things fall apart. So that's always kind of how I've liked to interpret, especially this role that I'm in now, working on world tour staffing. So my specific focus is all of the people around the country that will come in and work with us in these different cities. So like right now we're gearing up for our kickoff weekend in Tallahassee on campus at Florida State. And so we're hiring hundreds of people from that kind of Florida Panhandle area to come in and help us sell merchandise, scan tickets, work with our logistics operations, so all the trucks that we have bringing things in. I'm recruiting and hiring and onboarding all of these people that will come in and do this with us. So we source a lot of those people from local colleges and stuff, especially being on campus for this first weekend. Lots of Florida State students will have the opportunity to come in and work with us. Other nearby colleges and people who just want to be part of the experience. We have all of these fans, and our ticket waitlist has millions of people on there. So not everybody, unfortunately, is able to get a ticket right away. But some people are like, oh, I be part of the experience, still want to make it happen for other people. So they'll come in and work with us too. And so, bringing those people in and also making sure that while we want the fan experience to be as good as possible, we also want these people who we're bringing in to have a top of the line experience and to go back and tell their friends like, oh my gosh, I just worked a banana ball game and man, I had the best time ever. So that's kind of what my focus is leading up to it. And then when we get there, we're getting everybody checked in, getting them all their T-shirt for the day and things like that, getting them to where they're going to kind of live for game day. And they're meeting a ton of new people, meeting the people who will lead them in their specific merchandise area or ticketing area or what have you. So there's a lot of moving parts, and you get to meet a lot of really exciting people doing this. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, how many full-time employees are there at the core in the Savannah Bananas? Because it sounds like every place you go to, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, of temporary workers that are showing up to work everything from parking to ticketing to concessions, right? Like all of this stuff happens. But what is your core versus your total employment per gig?
Yeah, so the actual core of our year-round people is growing rapidly at the moment. We've brought on a ton of new people here at the start of the year. I think we're up we're around 100 to 200 people right now, and some of whom are remote, so we don't always get to see them in person here in Savannah. But we're growing like crazy, whereas like when I first came on in 2024, I don't think we had 100 year-round employees. And so we've certainly doubled that number. We're still growing a ton. And then we bring in those people on the road, hundreds at a time to help us, do these things every weekend. And so it is cool seeing the kind of dynamic of like these people who, yes, we do this every day and we're really excited about it. But we also have these people who are coming in and get to this for maybe just one weekend, maybe even just one day. And they're really fired up about it too.
Do you have people coming in ever that are just like, I'm here for a traditional baseball game. My friend brought me to this, and then they're pleasantly surprised? Like, what kind of feedback are you getting from first timers?
There is some of that. Like sometimes I'll even tell somebody what I do, and they're like, "Oh, well, I miss when we had real baseball around here." All of those kinds of things. But we'll have like a college baseball team that comes and works with us or something like that. And there's guys who are like, well, "This isn't real baseball," and then like when they're checking out for the night, like, "Dude, this was like really fun. Like, I want to come back and do this again. I had a great time." I'm like, "Hey, man, that's what we want." We talk about creating fans all the time, and like we think a fan is somebody who's they're gonna show up, they're gonna enjoy themselves, and they're gonna leave, and they're gonna tell other people that they enjoyed it. Because like, if you see a good movie, you're going to go and tell your friends like, hey, I just saw this great movie. You should go see it. And that's kind of what we want with these people as well. Like they go, they have a good time, and they leave and they tell other people that they had a good time.
Well, asking for a friend, how can Purple Acorn staff apply and get involved especially in, California or even on the East Coast here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I put something on my LinkedIn a while back. It's just Harper Mayfield. There's not a lot of people with my combination of names, so I'm pretty easy to find. But then also there's a link in one of my LinkedIn posts where you can go directly to the application. But also on the Banana Ball website, there's a little like employment tab, and you'll see like world tour opportunities. There's like local game day teammates is a box there. You can fill out that application, select any of the cities that you want to work with us in. We have dates all over the country in 45 of the 50 U.S. states. Just about within a 3 to 4 hour drive of any major population centers. So, we reach a lot of people this season, which is really exciting. They can apply to work with us on there, and then we handle everything once they're in the system, getting set up and all that.
That's very cool. Oh, and I meant to ask you too. Jesse Cole is the team owner, right? And you reposted something that he posted
Yes.
recently.
Mhm.
Talk about the end of the season and like what was the biggest takeaway from the past year for you and for him from the team?
Yeah, I think this past year was a really exciting one for us because this was the first 2025 was the first year that we had done multiple shows in multiple cities at the same time is the easiest way to phrase that. So like we had like the Bananas and I believe it was the Bananas and the Firefighters were playing at Yankee Stadium in New York, and at the same time we were playing in the Tailgaters and the Party Animals were playing in Round Rock at a minor league stadium there. So stretching ourselves thin in a lot of ways, but it also showed that like, hey, we're capable of maybe more than we think in this regard. And it also showed us where like, hey, we can still improve in a lot of these ways. This is a really cool thing that we're doing. It doesn't mean we're done yet. It doesn't mean we're the best that we can be at this. And so I think we learned a lot in that regard. And we also learned that, hey, maybe we needed some more people to do this because it's a long season. It's hard. We're going to play 100 games this year. It's easy to start wearing down and to start feeling tired at the end of it. But it's also important to remember that at the end of the season, it's still going to be somebody's first game. When they come through the gates, they're still really excited to be there. They've been waiting months, maybe even years to go to this game. And so we can't let things slip just because we're tired and it's the end of our season because it's the beginning of theirs.
That's a really good point. I mean, you see like down on my little lower third here, it says Broadway Podcast Network. I'm involved with Broadway here in New York. And no matter what show you're going to, I always say that Broadway is the Olympics of theater. And at that level, you have to bring it because there are people in the audience whose first time it is seeing that show and or first time seeing a show, period. And so you got to bring it. It's your job to bring it like it's perfectly fresh every single time. And so it sounds like, again, in sort of this thing, I was asking about the staffing and I was asking about how you run things, but I completely slipped my mind that there is an actual team of athletes that are playing banana ball that have to keep themselves in physical shape, and not hurt themselves and all of this, right? So like, how does that team, how do the actual athletes, not the staff running the events, but the actual athletes, how do they maintain their stamina?
Yeah, I mean, a lot like any traditional like sports team or athletics group would. We're training all the time. They're practicing constantly, but also there are parts of practice where we're working on kind of the show elements. So, the dances and the trick plays and stuff like that make banana ball unique. So they're practicing those. But there's also, the element of like building in rest to that schedule because you can't just, hit it hard every single time because you're going to wear down. We're all going to wear down. That's how being human is. So they take good care of themselves. We've got a great staff of athletic trainers that take good care of them and have, training regimens and recovery regimens and things like that. So we've invested a lot of time into making sure that those guys take care of themselves. We just finished building a new training facility here that's going to be a really cool addition to our home setup for those guys. So we're really excited for that. And then kind of on the core staff side, I mean, like we talked about, it's easy for us to wear down too. We've tried to be good about building rest into our own schedules with that so that it's not like, hey, I'm on the site at a 100,000 seat stadium every week of the year. You're gonna have a rough time if that's the case for you. But getting that rotation in and getting time to rest and relax and build back up, because if you're there and you're not at your best, then people probably aren't going to have the best experience. And so we want to make sure that everybody's at their best all the time. And that's us, that's the athletes, that's everybody.
I hear you. Well, thanks for joining us. Plug one more time where we can find you, get involved with either volunteering or watching the games, connecting with you. Give us all the places.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Harper Mayfield. It should show up with a glue guy right underneath. Again, one of the only people with that title. And then on our Banana Ball website, there's an employment page where you can find the game day teammate opportunities. And it's not even volunteer work. We'll pay you to be there. So a little bit of extra something on top of that. And then unfortunately, our ticket lottery has closed for the year. But also, if you're interested in working with us in a year-round capacity, you've seen our stuff, like, wow, that seems like a lot of fun. I think I'd be a great fit there. Those full-time opportunities are available on the website as well.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. I'm going to check this out, and hopefully you'll get some Purple Acorn hosts involved in in the game time stuff soon. Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, beautiful people. Today on the HR Weather Report, we're actually going to talk about the weather. So let's rewind a couple of weeks because the US didn't just get winter weather, it got hammered. Massive snowstorms, ice, travel shutdowns, office closed, and a whole lot of workers asking the same question: am I supposed to come in or not? And that's where HR stepped right into the storm. These kinds of winter events are no longer an edge case. They're predictable disruptions. And HR teams that wait until the morning of the storm are behind. So the smart move here is plan before the forecast turns ugly. That means really clear communications, early decisions on opening, closing the office, what's going to happen, and one simple priority: people first. Who can work remotely? Who should stay home? Who absolutely should not be driving in? And then there's the part that no one loves, including HR. It's pay rules, reporting, time pay, on call pay, leave requirements, because closing the office doesn't always mean closing your legal obligation. So here's the real takeaway: employees don't remember how clever your policy was. They remember how you made them feel. Did you communicate early? Did you show empathy? Did you make safety the default? Because when the storm hits, HR isn't just about managing schedules, we're about managing trust. That's your HR weather report. Stay safe out there, and let's get back to the host. All right, guys, you live in areas where you get a crap load of snow, a lot more than I do. No, not really. We get it done, right? I don't remember ever working for a company living in Canada, or I don't remember my kids' school being closed ever. It's just not a reality
Was it
here.
just closed?
Nothing's closed. Everything's open.
Oh, wow.
So what's your take? In Wisconsin, you get a lot of snow. New York, you get a lot of snow. You got hammered a couple of weeks ago. What do you guys think companies should do when there's a massive snowstorm or some type of weather event? Joel, what's your take?
Well, Alan was about to give his take, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I think
I got takes.
so. I have a fun story. A few years ago, I was working with a company called Wells Fargo, the greatest bank on earth. That was
I know
terrible,
that.
but there was a day where I had said, "Hey, I don't feel safe driving. I don't want to come in," and they were like, "No, you got to come in." And I ended up actually getting in a really, really bad car accident. And like just car was totaled, smashed my head in the dashboard. I was like bleeding.
Mm.
And I think I was concussed, and I made the decision to actually still go into work. And they told me to go home right as I got there because they were like, you just got in a car accident." But I think, when I'm looking at that and even looking at that story, I think this is where like trusting your employees to make the right judgment. And in today's day and age where you can do the bulk of things remotely, if you have a corporate job,
Yeah.
I think it's just looking out for the safety of your employees. And then also, like, I know school closures have actually gone up. It seems like they are closing schools a lot more frequently than maybe they did a decade ago. So, if you notice that your employees who have children, like the schools are closed, I think paying attention to those types of things and just giving that option, and just ultimately recognizing at the end of the day, if people take off or they're working from home for a day, probably not going to mean the end of your business. But if something catastrophic happens or something bad happens to an employee on the way to a commute, where like kind of forcing people in, that's going to be way, way worse. That is a way to go viral on social
Yeah.
media for all the wrong reasons. So I think just trust people. You hired them. You've hired them for a reason. They should be able to make that judgment of whether or not it's safe to come in. and then equip them, give them the right equipment that they need to be able to get their job done from home in case they need to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of that. And in my experience over the last few weeks, like my wife's company told her, like before the storm rolled in, we were supposed to get it like that Sunday, whatever that Sunday was 2 weekends ago. And they told her on Friday, the whole company, they said just Monday at least, probably Tuesday too, keep your comms open, but you're going to be working from home. We don't want you coming in. And that's even in New York City here where we have subways for the most part. But the infrastructure of New York still has not fully recovered from the Sandy damage, and that's a whole separate story, right? So that's the whole thing with the subway. We're using like 100-year-old switching systems and whatnot. But anyway, working from home, it's kind of a no-op for me because I look out the window and I see it falling, but I decide not to go outside because I don't truly need to. And I even went to Target, which is always open right here in Atlantic Terminal. I went to Target that night of the snowstorm because I wanted to like get some medicine or something, and it was closed. Like the whole thing, it's never closed, and Target was closed. I was like, that's a sign I shouldn't be out. So I was happy to see them closed.
Yeah, well, I like to reiterate those points. I think the biggest thing is safety, right? Like there's, especially for corporate roles, there's in most cases no reason why someone should even attempt to risk it. I understand there's a lot of roles that they don't have that privilege. A lot of retail, like Target, is a good example. Generally, I've never seen a Target close. I've never seen a Walmart close, right? Like those types of jobs, it's really difficult. So I think you have to figure out a solution in those cases because we don't want what happened to Joel to happen to any employees. It's pretty crazy, Joel.
That was a retail job as
you
well.
went in.
Yeah, it was a retail banking job. So like it was face to face, and I still went in, and then the manager at the time was like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "You told me to come to work." So like I'm here, and really they should have. It's tough. It is tough in those situations, but again, it's in those situations you've got to prepare for. Hey, maybe we're going to be short staffed for a day, and it would have been much better for them just to say, hey, you've got a longer commute, 20, 25 minutes. There's other people who have shorter commutes. Let them make that best judgment and then handle the business appropriately. And obviously on that day, they didn't have a lot of traffic because the customers, they weren't feeling safe about driving in. So there wasn't really a lot of need for me to be in there. And, the week after, they're like, yeah, it was fine. Like we handled it just fine. And I think, again, they should have just gone with the best judgment there that I had instead of forcing me to come in.
Common sense is not always common. I think the biggest takeaway here is safety first, right? And plan. If you're an employer, you should be planning for this like years ahead, days ahead. Like you should have a plan in place. So hopefully everyone learns a lesson from that snowstorm. You guys don't get a lot of snowstorms, like probably every month. So you're set up for the next one.
Yeah. It's nothing.
There's something that a concept that Google employs, and they still do, that it was always fun. There's a certain time within the beginning of the year called Dirt Week, disaster recovery testing, lowercase and it was to set up the company. They would do a dirt test, and the teams wouldn't tell each other what the test they were doing and what happened. And so like I got an email once that was like, aliens have just destroyed California. All of California's offline, including all the data centers. What do you do? And so it's testing all the rest of the company to literally be like, are our backup systems in place? Do we have redundancy? If we are without our glue guys in California, to have a throwback, what do we do here in New York or in Munich where the team is, right? So it's built into the culture at companies that think about that bigger picture, like you were talking about, to plan years in advance, to literally have redundancy systems in place and to make sure that everything has a failover. Because you're right, like something could happen right now or tomorrow and that could take out half of your inventory. What do you do?
Yeah, the U.S. could invade Canada and I'd be screwed.
That's hilarious.
Well, we do need a 51st state, I guess, right?
Shut up.
Well, thank you, Serge.
The weatherman.
The weatherman. Thank you so much. Stay warm, and glad your kids are going to school because mine were out for a few days.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. It never happens. I've never seen a school cancellation ever. When I was a kid, like 30 years ago, but no, it never happens anymore here.
It's got to
We're
be
just
pretty
used to
serious.
it. We're
Pretty
tough.
serious.
We're tough here in Canada.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning. Stay warm.
All right, see you guys.
Weatherman out. All
This
right.
was fun, Joel.
It's been good.
Yeah, this was good.
Give me a rating of your performance, and then
My performance?
Yeah, and I'll give you a rating of what I think your performance.
What's the
was.
scale we're looking on here?
1 through 10.
1 through 10. I would say I don't know, 5.5, 6.
No.
I use the words.
9 out of 10, man. You crushed it.
Oh, thank you.
It. There's always room for improvement, but hard pressed for me to find that. But guys, I want to thank Talent Tech PR again for putting this show on. Huge shout out to Evan White. If you are in HR tech, if you've got a brand that's trying to reach HR folks, TA folks, you need to get in touch with Evan. Evan is one of those guys who, when you go to an event, whatever he's doing, the competition gets mad, and I know that firsthand. And that's because he knows how to get attention and knows how to drive leads. So get a hold of Talent Tech PR. We've also crossed 2,100 follower count on LinkedIn, which is huge. Let's get up to 3,000. So if you're not following us, definitely follow us. We put out a ton of content on the Purple Acorn channel. And if you haven't already, go to purpleacornnetwork.com. Check out our podcast. My podcast is on there. A ton of other great podcasts as well. Not as good as mine, but very, very good. But you can find us. We have a podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find a podcast. We are there. And I think that is it for the HR Morning Show number 76.
We are out. Good morning, everyone.
Thanks, Alan.